Welcome to the Inspired Riding Podcast. I'm your host, Beth Lauren Parrish. As a certified riding instructor, remote coach, and rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a powerful form of hypnotherapy, I'm here to remind you to slow down, trust your intuition, and really deeply listen to your horse. And this will make for the best co-creative dances possible, whether you're on the ground or connecting on their backs. Thank you so much for being here, and here we go. Hello there, Inspired Riders. Today I am so pleased to bring back Crystal Forsell. Crystal has spent nearly 20 years riding and instructing riders in competitive dressage and continues to do so successfully. She's been lucky enough to have a few more challenging horses come into her barn, and they've set her on a path to do things better. When her regular solutions weren't being effective enough, she went looking for more answers, which brought her to incorporating groundwork as a major part of her work. She is constantly soaking up all the education she can, both in and out of the saddle. She's developing her own system of training, utilizing methods on the ground and progressive exercises under saddle. Crystal believes riding should be a joy. She's developed the wonderful app called Dressage to Go, which offers audio lessons on your time, in your arena, so you can fit more quality instruction into your busy life and feel good about your progress. Crystal is a USDF Bronze and Silver medalist, as well as a USDF L program graduate. I'm so pleased to have her on the podcast for the Riding Instructor interview series. And here we go. Hey, Crystal, thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thanks for having me again.
So as you know, I'm doing the instructor series so we can help support riding instructors all around the world and elevate the horse world that way. So with that in mind, my first question, pretty basic but very important. What do you love most about teaching?
I think what I love most is being able to help people. And in turn, you're helping their horses, but seeing everybody get that aha moment and really getting something and being able to level up.
Brilliant.
And I think, and sometimes, so my business has changed quite a bit since when I first started, where I was teaching lots of kids and almost exclusively beginners, to now I have like one junior rider and pretty much all adults, so it's changed. But also knowing that, especially with the kids, not every kid is going to go on to own a horse, to show horses, and that you are teaching them so much more than just riding lessons. And I think it's easy for people to lose sight of that. Some of my other fellow instructors, as we were younger, they would get very frustrated with their students, and I'm like, look, we're not teaching them to ride today, we're teaching them something else, so it's the riding's the vehicle. We'll just do the best we can and keep it fun.
That's so true. It's so much about life skills.
Yeah.
So what else has shifted for you in your way of teaching over the years?
Yeah, it's been kind of a slow evolution. You know, you get better and better. You get quicker and faster at breaking down problems, finding the solutions, and pinpointing exactly what it is. I think in my own riding, it's been kind of a slow evolution from one end of dressage to now. I don't even know how to describe it, but my aim is just to really be that person that's doing it the best way we can for the horse. And we don't always get it right, but we're trying, and we just keep learning and moving on. So I'm able to teach that to my students.
I love that. And it's such a brilliant thing to just continue to learn and evolve. And the horses teach us so much with every moment we're riding them, don't they?
For sure. You know, we've all had that horse or many horses that have really kind of come at, I guess, the right time when hopefully we were ready to receive that information and go, time to do some changes here. This isn't working, you know. For example, I was taught to use side reins, you know, that was part of the deal. Horses all knew how to go in side reins, and that was a tool that we used regularly, among other things. And that's one of the things that I've ditched. I don't use that anymore. And because I've found other ways.
Same. Yeah. That's so good. And do you find it takes longer for the horse to develop that way? Or do you feel like it starts to happen naturally faster?
I guess in which way? Like the posture and the musculature? Well, yeah, because if you're putting them in side reins, they really end up developing the wrong muscles. Even though sometimes, you know, we're still developing our eye to how they should look and what's being put out there on the big screen for people to see and what it really should look like. So it can be a little tricky that way, I think, for people. They think, oh, my horse looks great. It's like, well, you've got this going on here and this going on here, and this is a result of that training process. But the rewards are far better. Like, I think a horse that's been, you know, for example, let's say you go to a horse show, you take a horse and you lunge them in side reins, and they do the Yahoo thing, and they buck around, and they get all the yayas out, and you get on. I'm going to go ahead and say that horse is probably not going to be as reliable for you in the show ring to ride as the one that you came, you did your groundwork exercises in a soft way, you've let them adapt. I think that horse is going to be a lot more reliable, and that's kind of what we're going for. And, you know, who doesn't want to ride that horse?
Exactly. And I think that was kind of a weird leading question that I asked, because so many people think that it's a faster way to use those tools, like the side reins, but it does develop them incorrectly. And, and it's really, and it turns them into a ball of tension is the way I look at it.
Well, yeah. And what it does is it puts them on a different path. So they might be able to go and show and do some stuff, but at some point, I believe that there's a stopping point. Either they're not going to hold up, or eventually you'll run into a training problem that can't be resolved through those tools. Something's going to stop them up.
Yeah. And I always love the quote, you know, when you know better, you do better.
Right. Exactly.
Because I was taught to use side reins too. And now I look at it and I cringe. I'm like, I can't believe I did that. But, you know, you just move on. I mean,
so many of us have that story. And I think it's super important. We've all been sharing that story, that we can all say, yeah, well, we used to do this. Now we know better. Don't beat yourself up.
Yes, exactly.
We do the best we can.
Totally. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I know that's so important for people to hear. And I know there's still instructors that use them. So I just want to gracefully plant the seed that maybe you can start trying other things and finding better ways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of my biggest things is experiment.
Yes.
You know, and if you see a path that you want to go down and that you want to try, okay, so find the person that's been down that path and go get some help. Everybody, people want to help.
Yes. There's so much out there now. There's like no excuse to stay stuck.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
So how do you stay inspired?
Learning.
Yes.
Learning all the things. And it's not necessarily that I'm taking more dressage lessons as an dressage instructor. Sometimes I am, but you have to look outside of your discipline as well, to bring in some of the best stuff. You have to stay open-minded. I'm going to bring in, like, for example, I want to try some ranch riding with my horse and try some different things with him there, because I feel like there's definitely some pieces that I can bring in and to my regular work. I've been doing some educational events also outside of riding directly that were about anatomy, biomechanics. So all of that makes me a better rider and a better instructor when I'm able to pass that information along.
I love that. That's so fun. And I'm sure your horse will enjoy the ranch riding too.
Yeah, something fun. We'll see. I keep talking about it, and
well, you are in Texas, so you have more opportunities, I would think.
Yes. Exactly. I have some friends doing it to help me out. So
cool. Well, maybe it'll turn into like working equitation, where you get to do all of it.
Yeah, all the things.
So fun. So, what would be some of your top teaching tips that you'd want to share to help elevate the horse world?
Well, I think my first one is always stay learning. Like we can't ever just stay stopped. And like you said, we really have no excuse. I mean, the hardest part about that sometimes is the speed of information that's around us, I think, with social media and sorting through it. But I feel like we're getting pretty good at sorting through stuff now, but always stay learning, and looking outside your discipline. And some of those things like learning about anatomy and biomechanics, like I just mentioned. And then you'll love this one, but trusting your intuition. Hello. Yes. How many times, looking back, when you run into a problem in a lesson and you already had a feeling that was not going that way. So trusting your intuition, and then also like knowing when those things pop up, what's the backup plan? That horse is, I'm predicting a problem here. So what are we going to do about that problem? Like, know how you're going to have that backup plan to keep everybody safe, and educate your riders at the same time. Like this is what I see, this could happen, and here's what we're going to do. And then always when you're teaching, looking at the rider first. I see this here and there, that, for example, a horse keeps continually picking up the wrong canter lead, the wrong lead. And so they just kind of keep trying over and over again. And the instructor hasn't pinpointed yet that they're picking up the wrong canter lead because the rider's position is facing the other direction. They're circling left, the rider's circling right in their position. So just that's my example, but you see where I'm going with that. Like, it's really, the horses are only doing the best they can with the information that we give them. So rather than teaching the rider like how to fix the horse, maybe we need to stop, back up, and make sure the rider is given quality information before we go down that route.
Yeah, check the human first. Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right on. Anything else, or does that feel good?
I think those are my top things.
I love those.
Yeah.
So going back real quick to intuition, do you preface your lessons to tell your students, if you have an intuitive hit, let me know? Or is that just implied and your clients feel safe to talk to you?
So whenever I'm working with somebody new, I'll usually start by just opening up a dialogue to say, even things like, I don't know your fitness level. Feel free to tell me when you need a break, and then as we are going through the lesson, prefacing instructions with, or if I can tell, like, I think this is in their range, but might be a stretch, and just open up that dialogue to say, are you comfortable with this? What do you think if we try this? Things like that. So just opening that dialogue up.
That's so good.
Yeah, because we've had those instructors that it's not really a thing.
Yeah, I've been barked at many times to the point where at the end of the lesson, my horse will turn and literally look me in the eye and go, we're not doing that again.
Yeah, and it just where you are expected to follow the instructions to a T, regardless of what your thoughts are on it. And I just always so in case people are expecting that, I always want to let people know from the very beginning, like, that's not how this is going to work here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, that's so important. And that's just a gorgeous way to learn, knowing that you're safe to say, hey, I need a minute and let's reassess what's going on here and not feel bad about it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And some of the things that I might ask people to do might be a little bit counterintuitive, so I'm always like, hey, let's experiment. So it kind of gives this, like, we're just going to try it and see, because you never know until you try. And so making them feel safe, like, within that space, in case what I say to them is like, whoa, that sounds weird, because maybe they haven't heard it that way before.
Okay, now I'm curious. What do you say? So give me an example.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I'm sure it was something would come to me in the moment, but most of my things are just a little bit counterintuitive in terms of, like, what has been taught in traditional dressage. Like, for example, all right, now something's coming to me. You just have to give me a minute.
Okay.
So let's say a horse and rider are struggling with making a transition from walk to trot and the horse staying on the bit. The horse kind of braces up and wants to bring their head up against the connection over and over again. And I'm starting to notice that the horse is now anticipating the rider using the bit and the reins in a get your head down kind of way to make the transition. So I might ask them, hey, what would happen if you just threw the reins away, have a loopy rein, and ask them to go to trot? So for that person that's been told over and over again, the horse must be on the bit at all times, and, whatever manipulations other people have told them to do, when I come in and say, throw the reins away, they're like, what? Like, that's really different for them.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And for some people, it's a bit of a safety net to know that they always have a connection with their horse's mouth completely. So that's where you might have to tell them, like, it's okay, we're going to try this and see. And pretty soon the horse figures out, oh, they're not going to jab me in the face when I go from walk to trot. So I could actually relax here.
That's so good. Yes. And yeah, that's a very common thing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a common thing for people feeling like they have to hang on the horse's mouth. That's what I mean. But yeah, to be able to just completely give up and let go and soften.
Yeah.
That needs to be more of a norm, so that way people can start to feel all the nuances, right?
And anywhere that kind of goes along with the theme of, and I've written some blog posts about this, I'm like, the let go, the magic is in the let go, and that people have to trust their horse to let go, even though it doesn't feel like they can let go. I'm always telling people, you have to lead the dance.
Yes.
And that means you let go first, and then your horse is going to let go with you. So commonly I'll even say something as they do something like, okay, now take your inside rein and pat him on the neck. Right? I'm sometimes a little sneaky about it.
Yes.
And the horse goes, oh, and he just stretches down.
There's my release. Yes.
And then I can be like, see that? Did you see what just happened?
I love it. We do have to be sneaky sometimes as instructors. Yes.
Sometimes, yeah.
I love that so much. So do you have a favorite story about a lesson horse that you've worked with?
Oh, I mean, there's so many, like, favorite horses, because they're all, like, so precious, but I'll just talk about a couple of them. Like, we had this one horse, which is this Appaloosa, and his registered name was Go 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 Stop.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding. That's so cute.
And that was part of his charm, was we were, like, shopping for him, is that his name was Go Go, and he definitely did not go go. Which is kind of what we want in a lesson horse, right? But he was pretty hilarious, and if you have ever said good boy to him, he would just put the brakes on. It's like, okay, I'm done. He was pretty fun. He was a good guy. And then there was another little Arabian mare that we used for a while called Chelky, and she was amazing. Like, she was just one of those motherly type horses that truly probably enjoyed children. And I mean, that horse would cross her legs to stay out of the way to not step on somebody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was pretty precious. And then the last one was not the last one, but my other special one was Sugar. That was the first lesson horse that I bought for my own program. And she's just amazing. I love her. We work together a lot. And, you know, you develop a certain relationship, I think, with your lesson horses. You're not riding them a lot. So, you know, you probably ride them a little to keep them schooled. But they learn to look to you for direction when they know they're not getting it from up top. So there's kind of a special relationship that we have there. And then as I moved and closed my beginner program down, she got to stay at my mom's house. So she stays in the family. And then when we go to visit, my kids and I, kids get to ride her, and it's just like, we just pick up right where we left off.
That's so beautiful.
Put her on the lunge line, put the kids on her, and she does the thing for me. It's just amazing.
I love that. She's like, yep, I know my job.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. She's so good.
Yeah, there's nothing like a good lesson horse. They're just priceless, really.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So what's something that surprised you while teaching?
I think it was when I learned about, so going back to like being a younger instructor in my earlier days, going back to figuring out that we're not teaching them to ride today. We are, but it's so much more. Like, don't focus on how quickly can we get through the skills. Some of my students that had some learning differences really taught me the most. And like, for example, one student that, oh my gosh, it just took me forever to teach her how to learn rising trot. It was just, she couldn't get the rhythm. And but those are the ones that make me think, okay, I have to figure out a different way to do this.
Right.
And it was finally what I figured out teaching her that worked, that I started doing that with everybody. And so that method ended up fast tracking a lot of my other students. So that was just really cool.
So what did you do?
So I always teach everybody to sit first, sitting trot first on the lunge line. And usually I make sure they can sit the trot without stirrups. And then we start rising trot. And I'm also really big on, we're not just going to start going around the circle, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, because usually about after 2 or 3 strides, now they've lost their position. They're falling in the backseat of the saddle, their legs out in front of them. And so it really doesn't do us any good to keep trotting around the circle in the wrong position.
Right.
We really need to get the right muscle memory. So I would have them sit for 4, and we would count out loud together to help them get the rhythm. Sit for 4, and then up, down, up, down. And they were, really good up, down with their leg in the right position. Because now, as they're sitting for 4, you reset, get your position back, and then up, down again. Nice. And then as they got better at that, then we would just add more rising trot, more rising trot steps, and go from there.
That's awesome. I'm glad that worked so well.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it did work well.
I often had kids just stand up in their stirrups and like hold on to a grab strap or a horn if they're in the Western saddle, and then just hang out there for a while till they get that feeling of the up. So then they have the sit, and then we combine, and count. Yeah. But that's a fun idea to play with that. That's actually what I would do to help teach the sit trot, is they'd be rising for a while and then sit for a little bit until they could get it. So I actually did the opposite of what you did, but there's always different ways, and every student's going to learn differently. I think that's so cool.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's how that was originally presented to me. It was to use that kind of method for sitting, and I just flipped it around and said, I think we can use this for rising.
Nice. Yeah, that's so smart.
when I have students that maybe were already started beginners and they already knew rising, but they weren't taught to sit first, and so then they have to learn to sit. So we would use that method. And if they were sitting and needed to learn how to rise, it would still kind of work the same way.
That's perfect. Yeah, so you just introduce the harder thing a little bit at a time, just like anything else in life, which is really good. Just work it one stride at a time.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Do you have a transformation story about a student that you'd like to share?
Yeah, again, like some of the most fun I've had. Now, I am not a therapeutic riding instructor, but I've had, like I said, a couple of students that have come through either with some ADHD, or I had one student that was autistic, and those are the ones that taught me the most. And so I think kind of seeing his transformation from, I started him as a 6-year-old little boy, and then going on and just seeing just kind of how he changed and developed, and what his parents would share with me outside of the saddle, outside of riding as well, was pretty cool, I thought. Yeah.
I love that. So what sort of things shifted in him?
I think with any student, seeing how kind of even just like how much time I had with him, like how much time was he engaging with me before things get dicey. Little things like that. Just how he navigated the world.
So he could focus a little longer each time, is that what you mean?
Yeah. And granted, he was getting older too, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Riding is life. The rest is minor details.
Right?
It really helps you with so many things. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so Crystal, if you could teach a masterclass to other instructors, what would the topic be, and what would be some of the key points?
I think the topic would be really about rider position and breaking down the problems, like starting from the human, like how to assess the situation, looking at the rider first, and all those things, because I think that's so important. And some people are great at this, and some people tend to look at the horse first.
Right.
So it's all, different instructors, and that's why it's so good to, once you get to a certain point, I think, to learn from so many different people. So you get different sides.
Yep, I like to be what they call the ultimate sponge. You take in what you like and you trickle out what you don't. But there's always going to be some golden nugget, even if it's someone you don't care for. So, yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I just think it's so important to learn how to break that problem down. And that was something that I had to learn kind of on my own as a younger instructor. And I remember like coming home at the end of the day and going like, oh my gosh, like I really could have done that differently. I really should have done this exercise differently. We spent the whole time trying to figure out or trying to work on the left side and what was going on the left side. But actually, if I would have went to the right, I would have solved the problem, like just learning how to break those problems down so you have less of that feeling at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it's all about experimenting and also not being too hard on yourself.
Right. But it was a good lesson, and actually I did come back. I talked to her later and I'm like, okay, we're going to redo that lesson again, because I think, I didn't charge her for another lesson. I just felt like, here's what we need to do differently and see how that works. So, and it was much better.
Oh, good. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they appreciated you for being so thorough and focused on helping them find the right solution too.
Yes. And that's another good topic too, is like, I don't know everything.
Right.
I really don't. But I'm going to be the person that, like, if I don't know, I'm going to go find out. And I think that's really important in your instructor, and having some grace and humility is really important. Like, I'm not really interested in working with you if you are missing that piece. Like, it's okay. Just say you don't know, because I bet you probably even have a friend that does know that you could call up if you would allow yourself to do that. And it's just been really refreshing. Some of the professionals I've been working with lately have really honored that and really brought it to the room, to an open discussion. This was kind of in more of a classroom setting, but she's like, I don't know, but someone here might. And, you know, I don't have to be the one that's right all the time.
I love that. Yeah, it's so important to have a good network of people you trust and keep expanding that. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I'm like, oh, I'm getting to meet so many amazing people. This is awesome. So, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Network. It's where it's at.
Totally. So is there anything else you'd like to share that I haven't asked you?
Just like keep learning.
Yes, absolutely. And then do you want to tell the listeners a little more about your app and your group and things happening there?
Yes. So the app is called Dressage to Go. The primary offer in there is a membership, and the membership gets you unlimited access to audio lessons. So this is amazing for people that might either board their horse at home or they don't have a trainer at their barn. Just, it's giving you access to quality instruction that you can have anytime. So all you have to do is get your phone out, pick out your exercise, put in your earbuds, and push play. And then you can ride to your lesson while you go. All of the lessons that I have recorded in there are in real time. I'm actually riding horses as I'm giving the instructions, so it's all timed correctly. We have a couple other instructors in there, yourself included.
Yes.
On some of the lessons. And I also have Amy Skinner and Camille White. There's a 7-day free trial, so you can check that out. I also have a new offering right now. It's just a freebie for anybody who wants to give it a try. And it's some free audio lessons within the app that are mostly about rider positions. So some quick hacks and some exercises to run through on your own to help with your rider position. And then I do have a group on Facebook called Dressage at Home. And it's a really amazing community of riders to share. And I also am doing a free training focus every other week in the group where we bring up a different topic that you can work on at home and bring some focus to your ride and share with everybody. And I'm always in the group there to help.
Yeah, it's a great group. And I thought it was so cool. The first one you went with was a bareback riding, and that's what I've been doing this past week.
Yeah, no stirrups.
No stirrups, that's right. I just went, well, bareback's no stirrups. So
you can do bareback if you want to. But yeah, no stirrup riding. Because, gosh, the concept of no stirrup November just kind of...
it rubs people the wrong way a lot of times because you don't want to do that to your horse the whole month.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm all for experimenting, and I'm all for rider improvement. But I think some people might take that to the extreme and end up kind of hurting their horse's back. So what if we take that and we take a little bit and maybe just start in the walk and, not commit to an entire month of riding without your stirrups every ride. I'm like, I don't know how helpful that is, but
yeah. One exercise I love, especially beginners to do, is drop their stirrups, pick them up just at the halt. Yeah. And then we do it at the walk, and then we do it at the trot, and then just see like how adept they can get at that, and then really get their ankles moving more. So,
yeah, and it gives them confidence too, because especially as a beginner, like, you're gonna lose your stirrup, and some people can like panic a little bit about it, or they don't know how to get it on the fly. So just giving them that confidence, like, yes, you can you can pick them up.
Yeah. And you can totally survive without them too. It's all good.
Yes, all of those things. Oh my gosh, I was riding with somebody the other day and I lost my stirrup for like the first time, and I don't remember the last time I lost my stirrup, but I was like, what is happening? I mean, I got it back, but it was just kind of funny.
Like, oh yeah, I remember this sensation.
Yeah. Happens to all of us.
Totally. But yeah, those things do take us by surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so if I could give you a huge billboard to put up for riding instructors to see, what would you put on the billboard?
Always keep learning.
Woohoo! This is the theme. I love it.
It is the theme for the day. Always keep learning. It's been my personal theme for the week, or not for the week, for the year actually this year. Like I've made a lot of investment of time and finances into education this year. So
nice.
It's been really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being on the podcast again.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, listeners, if you enjoyed this, please do check out the show notes so you can learn more about Crystal, her amazing app, the group, and the new freebie of the rider position audios. You're going to love those. So thanks again for listening. You can write a review anytime if you feel inspired for the podcast. And remember to lead with kindness for yourself and for your horse. And may the horse be with you always.